the
True
camp
Israel,
were
Black
engaged in
Americans,
either
true
in
as happened to
conflagration
70 AD.
or killing the Jews. The dead were heaped about the altar, and a
This is what they
stream
don't
of
want you to
blood
know right here.
flowed at its steps.
What really happened
As
to
the
true
flames had
Israel,
not reached the inner
the
part
ones
of
that got in the land right
Titus
now,
with some of his chief
the ones in
officers
Black America in the
entered
four corners of the world,
in most holy
South
place,
Africa,
which
South
excited his
America,
astonishment
North
and
America,
admiration. After
Caribbean,
having in vain repeated his
England,
attempts to
such
prevent its
on.
destruction, he saved the golden candlestick, the table of showbread, the altar of perfumes, which were all of pure gold, and the volume of the law, wrapped up in a rich golden tissue. Upon his leaving the sacred place, some other soldiers set fire to it, after tearing off the golden plating from the gates and timberwork. A horrid massacre soon followed, in which prodigious multitudes perished, while others rushed in a kind of frenzy into the midst of the flames and precipitated themselves from the battlements of their fallen temple. 6,000 persons who, deluded by a false prophet with hopes of a miracle, of a miraculous deliverance, had fled to a gallery yet standing without the temple, perished at once by the relentless barbarity of the soldiers, who set it on fire and suffered none to escape. The conquerors carried their fury to such a height as to massacre all they met without distinction of age, sex, or quality. They also burnt all the treasure houses, containing vast quantities of money, plate, and the richest furniture. In a word, they continued to mark their progress with fire and sword, till they had destroyed all, except two
This is your capital, Israel.
and
This
that
is your capital, Black
which was
America.
destined for
True Israel.
when the
This is your
sword had
capital.
returned to its scabbard for want of objects whereon
The Romans came in and destroyed everything.
and the troops were satisfied
70 AD.
with plunder, Titus commanded the whole city and temple to be demolished. Upon viewing the strength of the works, he exclaimed, "We have fought with the assistance of God. It was God who drove the Jews out of these fortifications. For what can the hands of men or the force of machines effect
We
against
betrayed our
these
Messiah.
powers?"
This is what happened
In order
to
to
us.
give
Wake
posterity
up, Black
an
America.
idea of the strength
Wake up.
of the city and the
Israel, true
astonishing
Israel, around the
value
world.
of its conquerors, he preserved the highest towers, Phasaelus, Hippicus, and Maron, and a part of the wall which surrounded Jerusalem to the west. All the other circuit of the city was so level as not to leave those who approached it any proof that it ever had been inhabited. It is recorded in the Talmud and by Maimonides that Terentius Rufus plowed up the foundations of the temple. Thus were our Savior's prophecies fulfilled. Thy enemies shall lay thee even with the ground, and there shall not be left one stone upon another. And so the descendants of Edom destroyed the Most High Yah's temple and burned it to the ground, going as far as to dig up the very foundation stones of his holy temple in an attempt to erase any evidence of its existence, which explains why Yahuwah's judgment against Edom is sometimes referred to as the vengeance of his temple. Oh yes, Yahuwah is prophesied to pay Esau back in what's called the day of the Lord. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 8 reads, "Shall I not in that day, says Yahuwah, even destroy the wise man out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty man, Otim, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that strangers carried away captive his foes, and foreigners entered into his gate, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldst
Here
not
you are,
have
Black
looked
America,
on the day of thy
Israel,
birth, and the
around
day
the
that
world,
he became a
true
stranger.
Israel,
Neither shouldst
four
thou
corners of
have
the world.
rejoiced over the children
Most High
of
put
Judah
us.
in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldst thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldst not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldst not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither should have thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither should have thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. And so, family, Esau's days are numbered, and the Most High will pay him back in full. And with that, family, thank you for taking the time to watch and support. Thank you for those who continue to love me and my family and the whole house.